Today, we are going to be doing a review on probably my favorite cooking show out there right now on streaming services. I am obsessed with Culinary Class Wars. This is going to be a review on season 2 of Culinary Class Wars because I just finished it. Should have finished it a long time ago, but I'm here now and I'm going to give you my full review. I will say this right now. Disclaimer, this is going to be a very biased review because, as I said, I love this show. I can see no faults. Even though I do have some cons about season 2, I still rated this really, 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 really high. If you are looking for a breakdown of this show, a full analysis of it, you probably will not find it here. But if you are a lover of this show, come along. Come along with me as I fangirl about this show. This is my full review of Culinary Class Wars Season 2. If you have never seen Culinary Class Wars, this is a Korean cooking show made by Netflix on Netflix. I can't remember how many episodes. I think it was 13 episodes for season 2, maybe 10. I think it was 13. Anyway, the whole concept of the show is you bring in a bunch of elite professional chefs who are famous. They're called the white coats. And then you have a bunch of black coats, which could be anybody. It could be a mom and pop shop. It could be somebody who has been cooking in the business as a sous chef for a really long time. Some of these people have been proteges of the white coat chefs, the professional chefs. Some people are famous within their own right. It's a good mix of people. The black coats compete and whittle down their numbers in order to compete with the white coats. And eventually it's white coats versus the black coats, and one person comes out on top. That is the overview concept of this show. I will say I will be spoiling the winner of season 2, and I will tell you when I'm going to do that. Just FYI, because I need to talk about the winner and I need to talk about my favorites. So I will be spoiling who the winner is, but I will warn you when I do that. When season 1 of this was announced, it was marketed as like the Squid Game of the cooking shows, and I think they pulled it off pretty well because this show has Netflix budget. And when you have Netflix budget, you can do a lot with that money. And it shows. You can tell that they put a lot of time and effort on figuring out what they want to do and what the challenges are going to be. And they put a lot of money into the sets and making it as crazy but doable as possible. So it's believable in terms of they're not making them do something crazy that you wouldn't normally believe a normal person can do, but it's still a challenging show. Now, for me, what makes this show entertaining is I become attached to characters, to cooks, and I want to make sure they succeed and I root for them. And that is why I love this show so much. If I'm becoming attached to people on a reality show, on a competition show, on a dating show, that means I'm invested. That means I care about these people. That means that this is a good show. Season 2 wanted to up the ante, and I think they did that very well. One of the pros of this season is I liked the twists that they put in. Not all of them, which I will say later, but I liked in the first competition, in the first round, you have 80 black spoons competing to compete the white spoons. They are harsh in their eliminations because they have to whittle these people down. And so one judge takes half, the other judge takes half. So it's 40-40. The twist they put in season 2 is you had two white coats who were not white coats yet competing also to be in the competition. And if one of them succeeded and joined the white coats, that meant more black spoons could go through. So I think it was like 20 that eventually could go through. And then if a white coat who was competing won, who passed, they added another black spoon to the number. So I think max it could have been 22. I liked that twist because they brought two people from season 1 to compete again. You rooted for them. You wanted them to succeed, even though they were white coats, because then it allowed more black spoons to enter the competitions. I liked that twist a lot. Other twists we'll talk about later. The other thing I loved about this show, as I said, is I cared deeply about the contestants. And I love how the show highlights people's backgrounds and puts a little spotlight on their life, which grabs your attention and makes you care about these people. I love how this show gives you a little background of the chefs and thus you root for them. You become attached to them. And it's not only the black spoons that are getting this treatment, the white spoons, the white coats, the professional chefs also get a little background of their own. I love how the show doesn't necessarily make you automatically root for the underdogs. They allow the white coats also to get their spotlight, even if they are famous within their own right and have been on other cooking shows and things like that. What was interesting about season 2, though, it seemed like a lot of the black coats were proteges of the white coats, more than season 1, which I found to be also a negative in some capacity, which I'll talk about in the things I disliked about season 2. But what was great about it, though, is I felt like because there were so many proteges this season, or friends, or just people who knew each other in the industry between the white coats and the black coats, you had a lot more support coming from the white coats. In season 1, I felt like sometimes it came across the white coats were a little stuck up, even though they had their merit and they were professionals and they were definitely more experienced than some of the black coats in season 1. And they obviously did their due process and worked to get where they were, so they were respected by the people. They were also kind of standoffish until you got deeper and deeper into the season. From the get-go in the first competition on season 2, because so many people knew other people, so many people were proteges, so many people were friends, you had a lot more interactions between the white coat team and the black spoons, whether they were cheering people on or they were just really curious about somebody making something. It was heartwarming, and I love that part, and I hope they do more of that, because that was one of my criticisms of season 1, that we did not get a lot of interaction, like heartwarming interactions, because obviously naturally is a competition, but I love when you have instances where somebody can learn something from somebody they've admired for 30 something years in their career or things like that. And I thought season 2 allowed that in a lot better capacity than season 1. So let's get into some of the things that I disliked about the show, and then I will talk about my favorites and the winner at the end. There was a couple things I disliked about the show, or at least season 2. Going back to what I was saying about the black spoons, on how there were a lot more chummy, they seemed to know a lot of the white spoons, they had a lot more interactions. Part of the reason of that is you had multiple people in the Black Spoons thoroughly admit in an interview, like on the show, I applied to be a black spoon because I did not think I was going to become a white spoon. There's a lot more competition with the white spoons. So even though I could have been a white spoon due to how famous I am or how many years I have, I applied to be a black spoon because so I would make it on the show. I did not really like that because in season 1, it was very apparent these are like mom and pop people who've been kind of cooking behind the scenes the entire time, really underdog chefs who are not famous at all, but are running a successful business, are like ordinary citizens, right? In season 2, it was very apparent in the Black Spoons, there were many people who were famous. I recognized some of these chefs. And I wouldn't say I'm that knowledgeable of all of the famous chefs in Korea or let alone the world. And I even recognize some of these people. So I felt like for the Black Spoons to be marketed as underdogs in season 2 was a disservice to what they were in season 1. And I did not like that disparity. Now, as we moved further into season 2, the people that I deemed underdogs at the beginning of the season moved ahead. So it worked out in a way. But at least in that first competition, I disliked that a lot because I was like, these aren't underdogs. They're just people who didn't think they could get on the show by applying to the team that they should be in. And I thought that was a real disservice to what the show was supposed to be. Another thing I disliked, there was around the All or Nothing challenge. It was the one with the wheel. It was a team competition, 3 different rounds, and they were cooking with the 2 ingredients that the wheel gave them. I disliked, and I can't remember if they did this on season 1. I don't think they did, but I disliked the elimination of that challenge because, spoiler alert, how they eliminated on that challenge was the entire team was gone. It wasn't, okay, the top or the bottom 3 people, no matter the team was gone. It wasn't individual elimination, it was the entire team. So sadly, all of the Black Spoons got eliminated that round. Now, they did some mechanics and brought some back, but I didn't like that elimination because, again, the point of the show is to have black spoons and white spoons going up against each other. You have underdogs versus professional chefs going up against each other. So if you eliminated the entire black spoon team, it would just be a competition of professional chefs, which, yes, would still be entertaining. But if you marketed your show as a underdog versus professional chef show, you need to keep some of the underdogs, which they did, but they only brought back like 3 people, 2 people, something like that. I did not like the elimination of that round because I felt like it was, again, a disservice to what the show was marketing itself as. But besides the 2 cons that I really had about the show, I still gave it a 10 out of 10 because I enjoyed this so much. I enjoyed this so much. Warning, do not watch this show on an empty stomach. At all. At all. I love the personalities that came onto the show. Some were a little annoying by the end. I'm not going to name who I was annoyed at, but some I did get annoyed at on both the white coat and the black coat team. But let's get into who I liked and disliked. So I had some favorites on both the teams. In season 1, my favorite did not win. He did get to the final round, though. Edward Lee, I loved him. I have a reputation of my favorites doing horribly in competition shows or dating shows. Anybody I root for never gets the person they love at the end. It never wins the competition. If you watch my review of Offline Love, it was the same story in that show. I was pleasantly surprised that my favorites of the show went pretty far. They did not win, but they went pretty far. Some of my favorites on the Black Spoons were Little Tiger. I just loved her energy, and I loved that she had such a loving protege relationship with one of the white spoons. French Papa, I liked him a lot. I loved his story and why he was working and with his child and everything. And I love that he was friends with so many of the white coats and they cheered him on. Again, you'll see a very common thread with my favorites. And then lastly, Brewmaster Yoon. I locked on her day one. I loved her. I'm a sucker for an underdog, especially one who does not have a lot of confidence. And she did not have a lot of confidence at the beginning of the show. But man, she knocked out of the park. I was so proud of her with how far she went in the competition. Now, she did not win, which I was really sad about, but she went really far and she grew a lot. And you can tell from the beginning of the show to the end that she should be proud for what she did in that show. So I loved her. I was very attached to her. 2 of the white coats I'll name. Sung Jin Won. I know a lot of people loved him. A lot of people loved him. So I'm not surprised he was a favorite. He was just one of those people who was very down to earth, cheered people on, but also was very smart. He played the game. He was confident in his cooking and took risks. And I just loved seeing him cook. And then lastly, I have to say Choi Kong-rook. I remember him from season 1. I liked him in season 1, but I grew to like him a lot in season 2. I was cheering him on. Even though he was a white coat, I viewed him as an underdog because he was one of the 2 chefs in the first round that had to compete to become a white coat. And so I felt like he was trying to prove himself the entire show. Spoiler alert, he did win the show. And I was very happy with that win. Now, I would have liked to see Brewmaster Yoon win, but I was very happy with him winning, especially with his message at the end. I cried. I bawled my eyes out in the last episode. And I cried at season 1 too. I'm a very easy crier. I cry at all these shows. The dating shows, the competition shows, I cry. But his story was very meaningful and could have been not only talking about chefs, but just like everyday ordinary people working a 9 to 5. And I loved how relatable he was. And he was just smart. He was really good at cooking. And you could tell he loved what he did. And I became very attached to him as well. So those were some of my favorite chefs on the show. I did have others. His competitor at the end, I liked him, but I never really wanted him to win. It was kind of the same of season 1. I liked the guy who won season 1, but I wanted his opponent in the final round to win, and in season 2, I got my wish. Overall, still love the show. If you have not seen Culinary Class Wars, please do yourself a favor and watch this. 10 out of 10. I love this show. I cannot wait for season 3. It is going to be a lot different, I imagine, from what season 1 and 2 are because it's a team competition. And if you have seen season 1 and season 2, you know the team competitions either go really well or really poorly. It depending on who is in what team, they might not know how to work on a team because they're all individual chefs. I'm really curious how they're going to make that the entire show. And also how they're gonna eliminate people when it's a team competition. Like, is it the team gonna be the winner overall? Who knows? I'm very excited for season 3. I cannot wait. Highly recommend Culinary Class Wars season 2. Please let me know in the comments if you have seen this show. Let me know what you think of my review. And also in the comments, let me know some of your other favorite cooking competition shows or Korean variety shows because I always am looking to watch more. Bye.